right, so retaining people is about making sure that their experience with us when they are with us as good as possible. And of course, at the end of the day, we also have to help them to complete those studies, because without completing them, they're certainly not going to have tick the tick box and achieve the objectives that they set out to. And this particular conversation actually ties back into, a couple of the other framework areas like online learning and how do we assist those kind of things. And so I'm going to touch on a few things, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what's possible and what we've been doing with some institutions out there. So we want to, as I said, we want to ensure, in this case, Marie's success. We want to make sure that she gets that executive education that she's looking for, that then turns into the role and the career she's looking for. And how do we go and do that? Well, one of the important things that we talk about with our clients is about making single entry points. So making it really, really simple for Marie to deal with us. So if you think about yourself and you think about the different faculties, the different ways of communicating, how do your students currently communicate with you? They might have 2 or 3 or 4 different student portals that they need to log into, or a SharePoint site somewhere that's got some documentation, or a website that they need to log into for something, or a Moodle site that they need to go and get access to online LMS content. What we're suggesting is that to make this process as smooth and seamless as possible, and to ensure that all students go through and ultimately are successful, send them to one place. Start them off in a portal that talks back to kind of the core CRM system that says, we understand you and who you are and where you need to go. And through that single pane of glass, I can then pass them off through to the LMS. I can pass them off through to the account system for them to go process a payment or whatever the case may be. If you provide them 58 places to go, chances are they're not going to go to all 58 places, and chances are they're going to miss out on some stuff. And that may impact whether they're able to complete things or not. And so you just want to kind of remove the barriers to entry and say, well, okay, let's look at how to bring them together. And portals are a really good way to do that. The next thing might be around making sure that Marie can be successful based on the courses that she goes to, the lectures that are provided, the kind of content that she gets across and through, and just making sure that we're scheduling and running all of this in the appropriate way. And again, Microsoft's got some really, really amazing tools in the scheduling space. And we've done some work with a business called NOSA. They do occupational health and safety training. I'll actually send out the deck, and there's a link to a case study that we've done with them. And we help them to manage their short courses. As I said, they provide occupational health and safety training, and they do that to people across 24 branches around the country. And they're looking at ways to digitize that content and provide access to more people around Africa and the rest of the world. But Dynamics as a central nervous system, as a central business application, drives the whole process from registering for a course to scheduling the appropriate lecturer, facilitator, to make sure that we've got the marking is done appropriately, that certificates are not printed, but digitally created and sent to the students, and it's all handled in this beautiful digital process, nice and seamless. And so there's some amazing stuff, and you can go and read the case study. And if you want to find out more about what we've done there, we can get into it for sure. Next piece, as I said, how do we, we've got this portal that maybe sends them off to Moodle to go and get their learning, or maybe we want to start looking at Teams or something like that. But I want to start bringing the data of how they're engaging there back in. So now, maybe we're doing this digitally, so we want to see, let's say, active engagement in the courseware that's online. Maybe if you think about connected campus kind of scenarios, we want to maybe give people access tags or RFID tags that tell me that Marie actually went to that lecture, that she actually participated, or maybe she skipped out halfway through. What kind of learning experience are the students having when they're in there? Are they completing it? I had a conversation with a Microsoft executive a few weeks ago, and she told me that she saw some scary statistic of only 5% of courses that are started online are completed. That is tremendously scary, particularly if we are paying for it. And so it might be specific to maybe corporate education or something like that, I'm not sure, but if I look at that and I ask you the question, if you've got digital content, or indeed, traditional lecture-based content, how many people are actually completing that? And if I am honest, I can tell you that in my third year of university, I went to a few lectures, but not all. And I went to the ones where, you go to that lecture because that's when you learn what's going to be in the test that's coming up. And so if you as an institution know that naughty Sean is not going to the courses and that naughty Sean is going to flunk his exam in a month's time because he's not putting in the work, how can we start intervening? How can we start making sure that we are saying, hey, Sean, yeah, we know you skipped out on that lecture, man. Come on, we're going to bring you back in. We're going to give you the right access to the courseware, make sure that you're putting in the work. Because when you put in the work, you get the results. So if we can start looking at the role of digital through that process, saying, well, let's monitor, not in a creepy way, in a way that we want to make sure that we achieve success and we help them to complete their studies. How can we see how engaged they are? Yes, we can. We can just think slightly differently and say, okay, cool, let's bring that data in again. Bring it into that one central place, because that's where I'm going to see everything. I'm going to see, maybe they've got some financial pressure and that's causing them to not attend, or whatever the case may be. But if you're not even looking for it, you're never going to even know that you need to bring up an answer for that. And so monitoring their involvement and their engagement through the process is also becoming super important. Having a look at Teams as an online engagement platform, it's something that I think a lot of businesses accelerated. It's an area that Microsoft have grown in the hundreds of percentages around the world, obviously due to COVID. But more and more organizations and institutions are looking at technology like Teams and others to see how do we engage online. I was talking to Tanya earlier about this particular webinar. This is a simple Teams meeting that we're having right now, and we're able to engage and collaborate in all new ways that we weren't able to do before. And even making this kind of content accessible for people that are participating to say, I want to actually engage. I don't want to just sit and listen to some guy talking for 2 hours, although unfortunately that's what you're doing right now. But looking at Teams as a platform, there's a lot of different opportunities. There's a lot of different avenues. In this deck, I've actually put a couple of case studies in here. We don't have time to go and watch all these videos, but there's some fascinating stuff that the University of New South Wales is doing over there in Australia, using Teams to really amplify student success, to put lecturers more in touch with their students. There's artificial intelligence infused monitoring. There's all sorts of amazing stuff going on over there. I'll send you these links and you can go watch these videos. The first one is about 2 minutes odd, and the second one is about 8 to 10 minutes. It's really worthwhile spending and having a look at what's going on over there. Then lastly, obviously, from a completion point of view, we want to look at the opportunity to say, okay, let's assume that Marie's going to be successful. How do we now start looking at the next step and start marketing that to saying, okay, you're finishing your certificate. Now maybe what about a master's? Maybe you want to take that next step. Maybe you want to have a look at that kind of at that process. I recently attended a information session at an institution, looking at doing some further postgrad studies myself, and trying to weigh up, do I look at a kind of postgrad certificate? Do I look at more a master's kind of course? And I'm in that decision and going, do I have enough time? Do I have enough, can I throw the right kind of investment into this thing and make sure that I'm successful? What I can tell you is that happened 2-3 weeks ago. The deadline is end of this month, and I haven't been contacted again by that institution to see, hey, Sean, we know you started this process. You even came to the information gathering session. You spent an hour with us in one evening on your own time. Are you going to come? Is there anything we can offer you? And I think this is kind of, I don't want to name and shame, because it's certainly it's not the point. I think the point here is to say there's an opportunity to do more. There's an opportunity to look for to ask a couple of questions. Hey, Sean, what are you really looking for? And how can we come alongside and help you? And, are you right for this thing? And if you are, let's put it all together and make it happen. Because I think that's important as well, is that it's not, you're not just trying to attract students, you're trying to attract the right type of student for the right type of course or the right type of program, and you want success. Because if that all comes together right, you've got a customer for life, you've got somebody who's going to amplify your messaging, you're going to have a great experience, it's going to be awesome to take them through that, and everything is well aligned.